Hello, welcome to the penultimate episode of Do Dolls Dream of Ball-Jointed Sheep, Episode 7. I am your host, Fifidoll, and as always, I thank you all so much for your support in this endeavour, especially last week when I had to take a little time for myself and my brain. But I'm back with you all to take you away again on another journey away from the all too real world. A little news first, and the podcast is now available on YouTube on my channel, which is called Fifidoll Dreams. I also have my first painting video on there too, so if you'd like something that's also visually relaxing, then please check that out. Now, before we leave on our trip, we have to prepare. So make sure your shoulders are relaxed, your jaw is unclenched. Take a deep breathe through your nose and then out through your mouth, relaxing your whole body, calming your mind. Nothing can get to you right now because we're already on our way. So where we left off in the dream, our good friend called Record Man, was near death on the edge of a cliff when a huge white bird swooped down from the sky and carried him off. Now in my mind's eye, I followed the bird and it dropped him into a castle tower, a tower that was only accessible by bird. It was there that he was supposed to be kept. He was kind of under captive or in servitude to this giant, ancient man who looked like Jeremy Corbyn, but he wasn't nice like the Jeremy Corbyn that we have. Bless our Corbyn. The stones of the castle they were in were coloured in a pale sandstone and were accompanied with light wood. And around the castle, angels that looked like statues flew around the towers, circling around the entire castles. And inside, a battered and bruised Record Man lay at this mean Jeremy Corbyn's feet. Feeling as if I must save him, I now began my journey to this place. I was now outside a different castle's grounds. This castle's colours were black and dark red. I walked up a dark, ornate staircase that split around some kind of wide flower bed and met at the castle gates. It was a mixture between Gothic and, if you know Elder Scrolls, Daedric. The dark castle seemed to be empty, but there were things flying around. They were like bats, but they didn't have faces. We took a bird to the sand-coloured castle, to the tower where Record Man was supposed to be. But when we got there, we found that he had been missing, as he had snuck out into a kind of no man's land that was further ahead. To map this out for you in your minds, from south to north, was a deep blue lake. Then, next to that, the dark castle that we started in. Then there was the lighter sand-coloured castle that Record Man was in, and at the very north, this barren no man's land that had some small deserted villages on sandy land. Their houses were quite basic. They didn't have any glass in the windows and it looked a little run down. But Record Man was there, helping people because he was the strongest. But I knew he was still injured, so I endeavoured to find him. Somehow I managed to catapult myself out of the pale castle worrying about attracting the flying things this way, but I managed to avoid their attention. And when I landed in no man's land, there I found Record Man, now along the outside of the deep blue lake, and connecting with one side of the barren wasteland that we were in was a very steep cliff. We catapulted again, back, this time aiming for the cliffs, and we saw some of the bat-like creatures flying in the air as we went past, but again, nothing noticed us. Upon landing on the cliff, this was a kind of fjord, like a little flat patch of land just before cliffs. I think that's what a fjord is, but maybe I've got the name wrong. We arrived anyway at this little beach that was surrounded by sea and cliffs. And there, half built into the cliff, was a very quaint little home, painted white with French bay windows on each side. The door had a little window on it too, and there were a few old people waiting outside of it on white plastic lawn chairs. This was a hospital where we had came to bring Record Man, and I say we because I believe I wasn't alone in this trip to rescue Record Man. Although the people who were with us didn't say anything and kind of stayed behind me out of my peripheral vision. Perhaps a little creepy. Now this was the hospital that we had taken Record Man to get fixed up from just all he'd been through. And it looked a little bit, well, a lot like a retirement home. As we entered through the door, we were immediately met with panelled wallpaper and a thick, spongy carpet that could barely be seen as the room was full to the brim of beds, all pushed together and all covered in various colourful patterned quilts and blankets. Most of the beds were full, and there was some camaraderie among those in the beds, as if they had been there for quite a while. Then, along a small pathway through the beds that led to the next room, were velvet cushioned chairs where people were sitting, waiting to be seen. The second room was much like the first, and we walked through to the second room and waited there as Mr. Records was taken away to be seen to. I'm guessing he was an emergency case. But as Mr. Records was being seen to, the other people and I were just standing at the very end of this pathway and waiting for him to return. And as we waited, there was a very loud family of very tall and heavy-set people, mostly women and then younger boys that looked like the stereotypical bully. They got up out of their seats to leave, and everyone was cheering them on, like, well done on your recovery, but you could sense that people were just happy that they were leaving. Then some people with a bit more courage started to boo them. I'm guessing the bullying stereotype I had made in my head was actually true, and these were not nice people. But the booing made the family incredibly angry, and they were looking around a crowd of people trying to see who was booing them. But they couldn't tell over the din of cheers and claps, wishing them a speedy departure from their room and good health that they would never return. And that was how my dream ended. It wasn't as long as the first part, but the first part was so long, I was going to have to split it in two. Thank you all so much for spending this time with me. You can still get in touch with me about your dreams through my email, which is dodolldreasmpod@gmail.com, and through Twitter @dodolldream. Even though the podcast may be finishing soon, I would still love to hear all of the crazy dreams that you have. Next time, for our final episode, we'll be doing a play along at home, where it's your turn to dream, and I will be guiding you through sleep meditation and reading some excerpts from one of my favorite books as a little light bedtime story. So I hope you will look forward to that, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Sweet dreams, angels.